Namaste and good morning to all of you. Let's do some prayers before the class. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhuva Vaswaha, Tat Savitra Varenayam, Vargo Devasya Dhimahi, Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat, Asto Ma Satgamya, Tamso Ma Jyotirgamya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamya. ओम सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सवीर्यं कर्वावहि तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहि ओम शांति 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 ओम. Saturday we study Vivekachudamani, Adi Shankaracharyaji's, and let's look at verse number 78, 378. Asham Shindihi विशोपमेषु विश्येषु एषः एव मृत्योः कृति त्यक्त्वा जाति कुल आश्रमेषु अभिमतिम मुंच अति दुरात क्रिया देह आदौ असति त्यज अतमधिष्मान प्रज्ञाम कुरुष्व आत्मनि त्वं द्रष्टः असि अमनः अपि निर्द्वय परम Brahma asi yat vastuta. Pretty long verse. Let's look at word by word. Asham. Asham. Asham means the hopes. Over here it means the cravings. Okay. Chindi. Remove. Cut asunder. Vish upameshuhu. For those who are like a poison. Vishyeshu, for sense objects. Eshaha, this. Ev means very. Mrityu, of death. Kriti, image. Tyaktavaha, giving up. Jati kul ashrameshu abhimatim. Pride of caste, family, and order of life. Okay, so jati, kul, ashram. Munch, throw away. Ati durat, far. Kriya, actions. Deha ado, in the body, etc. Asati, which are unreal. Tyaj, renounce. Atam Dishman Nam, identification. Pragyam Kurushva, fix your mind. Atmani, upon the self. Tvam means you, Drashtaha, the witness. Asi means are, amanaha, untainted by the mind. Api also, nirdvay param, non-dual supreme. Brahma, asiyar, yat means that, vastuta, in reality. He says, cut asunder your craving for sense objects, which are like poison. It is the very image of death, mrityu. And give up your pride of caste, family order of life. Throw far away all selfish actions. Renounce your identification with such unreal things as the body. And fix your mind upon the self. In reality, you are the Brahm. You are the witness. Brahm. Untainted by the mind. Non-dual supreme. So the whole philosophy is given in this verse. So clearly he is telling us to detach your mind from this objective world. So he says it's like poison. So sense objects of pleasure are like poison. Those who desire them, they will definitely, they are moving away from their path, from their goal. And death really means a change. And we know that sense pleasures, they keep on changing. The objects keep on changing. Our desires keep on changing. In that sense, it's called a death. Change is a death. So renounce the desire for sense objects which are full of mortal poison. And renounce the vanity of your family name, order of life, your jati, all that. Because they really blind our vision. We start seeing things differently. My family is better than yours. I am better than yours. We forget that we are all same. And then he says, throw away all the activities which are prompted by the ego. That's what Kriti means. All desire prompted activities. So renounce the idea that you are the body, the mind, the intellect. Renounce the attitude for the non-self. And instead, identify with the self, with this idea that I am Brahma. Quieten your mind. Because mind is gurgling because of when it's rushing towards the objects. Quieten it. Just be a mere onlooker, a witness. You are the non-dual Brahma. Meditate upon this. Meditate upon this. At least for a few minutes a day we can do it. Now in the next few verses, he is going to tell us the techniques of meditation. By giving us all this information, who we are, how do we remember it during our meditation also. Lakshe Brahmani Manasam Dridtaram Samsthapye Bahe Indriyam Swasthanehe Vi Niveshe Nischaltanu Cha Upekshe Dehe Sthitam Brahm Atma Ekyam Upetyehe Tanmyataha Ch Akhand Vrityaha Anisham Brahmanand Rasam Pib Atmane Muda Shunye Kim Anye Brisham. Lakshya Brahmani. On Brahma, the point of concentration. Lakshya. Manasam, the mind. Dridtaram, firmly. Drid. Sanstapye, fixing. Bahe Indriyam, the sense organs. Swasthane, in their respective centers. Viniveshe, restraining. Nischaltanu, holding the body steady. Cha means and. Upekshe, not worrying. Upeksha. Dehe sthitam, for the maintenance of the body. Brahma Atam Ekyam, the identity of Brahma and Atma. They are one and the same thing. Upetye, attaining. Tanmyata, being one with it. Cha means and. Akhand vritya, without a break. Akhand. Anisham, continuously. Brahmanand Rasam, the bliss of Brahm. Pib means drink. Atmani, in your own self. Muda, joyfully. Shunya, empty. Kim means what? Anya, other things. Brisham, entirely. Fixing the mind firmly on Brahma. The point of concentration. So that means when we are meditating, we concentrate first. So concentrate on Brahma. Restraining the sense organs in their respective centers. Holding the body steady. And giving up all thoughts for its maintenance. Attaining identity with Brahma and being one with it. Continuously drink the bliss of Brahma in your own self. Of what use are other things? They are entirely false, empty. Okay, Risham. Okay, so during meditation, he's telling us to keep your body steady, still, mind calm, detach from the senses, enjoy the bliss of who you are. So by establishing the mind firmly in Brahm, because normally we say, what do I do with the mind? Okay, attach the mind with the Brahm. That is the point of contemplation. Got to have your senses in your control. He says in the respective sense centers, just leave them there. Keeping the body firm, that's why we always say that keep your back, neck, head straight. A very steady posture. Don't keep on moving. And internally give up all the anxieties. Do not worry about it. So comfortable posture in which you can easily sit for a certain amount of time, whether you have decided to do for 15 minutes, half an hour, for that duration of time, no movement. Don't worry about your limbs or anything outside of you. Just meditate upon the self. Realize the oneness of its glory inside and outside. Do not start apart and try to understand it. You just become it. That's what tanmyata means, become it. Merge to be one with it, without any sense of separateness. Maintain the attitude that I am Brahma. And then enjoy this, revel in this, that I am one with Brahma. So meditate and realize the source of all happiness deep within yourself. Then what else we need to do? Anatma chintanam tyaktvaha kashmalam dukh karanam chintahe atmanam anand rupam yat mukti karanam. Anatma chintanam, all thoughts of the non-self. See, there's a atma chintan and anatma chintan. So anatma is a non-self. Tyaktva, renounce. Kashmalam, which is evil. Kashmal. Dukh karanam, productive of misery. Chintaye, think. Atmanam, of the self. Ananda Rupam, the bliss absolute. Yat means which is Mukti Karnam, the means for liberation. Having renounced all thoughts of the not self, which is evil and productive of misery. So anything which takes us away from our goal, philosophically speaking, that is evil. That's why it's called sin also. So having renounced all thoughts of the non-self, which is evil and productive of misery, think of the self, the bliss absolute, which conduces to liberation. So that means which takes us towards our ultimate goal. So worry and anxiety over the non-self is evil, full of pain. That is the cause for all the sorrows, all kinds of disturbance in our mind, worrying about the non-self. And what is a non-self? Non-self is anything other than the self is non-self. That means the body also, mind, intellect. Okay. And in the body are the senses, and then the sense objects. So that's why he says, hence, renounce the pain-ridden anxiety about the non-self. And constantly contemplate upon the blissful nature of the self. Because that is conducive to liberation. So thinking about anatma is anxiety and pain and evil. Connecting with the atma is freedom, bliss, liberation. And in the following verses, he's going to give us the ways of contemplation upon the self during the early stages of the meditation. Because sometimes students think that, how do I do it? So he is giving us some direction over here. He says, Eshaha Swayam Jyoti Ashesh Sakshi Vigyan Koshe Vilasati Ajasram Lakshayam Vidhaye Enam Asad Vilakshanam Akhand Vrityaha Atmatya Anubhavya. Esha, this Swayam Jyoti, the self-effulgent, doesn't need any other light. Self-Jyoti. Ashesh Sakshi, witness of all things. Vigyan Koshe, in the intellectual sheath. Vilasati, shines. Ajasaram, eternally. Lakshyam, point of contemplation. Vidhai, making. Enam, this, that means this Atma. Asad Vilakshinam, which is distinct from the unreal. Akhand Vrityaha, with no other thought. Atmatya, as your own self. Anubhavya, meditate. He says, eternally shines this Atma. Whether we know it or not, it is shining. Eternally. It doesn't need any other light. Swayam Jyoti. Eternally shines this Atma, the self-effulgent witness of all things. Atma knows, is witnessing our waking state, witnessing our dream state, witnessing our deep sleep state. It's witnessing everything. So eternally shines this Atma, the self-effulgent witness of all things, which has the intellect for its seat. Making this Atma, which is distinct from the unreal, your point of contemplation. Meditate upon it as your own self, eliminating all other thoughts. And this is what I was teaching you when we were doing that guided meditation Thursday morning. Remember that? I'm sure that guided meditation is on our website. So you can go and look at it. But we need to practice. In order to learn the worldly things also, we had to practice. So for this also, we need to practice. Atma is ever self-effulgent. Doesn't need any other outer power to illuminate it. It illumines our thoughts, emotions all the time. And it is light itself. It is a witness of everything, without any exception. And consciousness, which is this light is, plays in the intellect in endless varieties. So that means the intellect cannot even function without it. So all the functions of our mind, all the functions of our intellect are illumined by it. See, just like this sun shines constantly. Okay, moon needs the light of the sun. Sun doesn't need the light of anything else. So Atma. So establish your mind in this self. And then he says, which is other than the not self. Asad vilakshanam. Contemplate upon this consciousness constantly. He says, without any break, at least for 15-20 minutes, half an hour. Akhand vritya. Don't let any other thought come in there. Atamtya. This is your own self. Okay? So these great rishis, all they can do is tell us how to do it. Again and again, with the different examples, different analogies, they are telling us how to do this. But ultimately, we have to put some effort. That only we can do. We cannot buy this. We cannot beg for it. We cannot go somewhere to get it. We got to just practice it because it's right here. It's available to all of us all the time. Let's look at next one. Etam achinyaha vritya pareyantar shunyaha ulekhyana vijaniyat swarup ruptaya sufutam. Etam, upon this, achinya vritya, with a continuous thought. That means the one thought of the identity of Brahm and Atma. Achinya vritya. Preya antrashunyaha. With no intervention of any other thought. See, that's why I was telling you this meditation, which I was teaching you, no mantra, no form, no other thought. Just dig deeply into your real identity. That's all. It's a lot simpler. You don't have to memorize anything. Ulekhyan, contemplating, manifesting. Vijaya, vijaniyat, one should realize it. Swarup ruptaya, as one's own self. Sufutam, clearly. Contemplating continuously upon this Atma with no intervention of any other thought. One must distinctly realize it as one's own real self. So it has to be unbroken contemplation upon this self, which is without any distinction inside or outside. Because this Atma, see, just like a space is outside, inside, air is inside, outside. The Atma is everywhere too. You will come to experience your own real nature, the divine nature, very clearly this way. Beyond all traces of doubt. Because this is who you are. He says, realize this state clearly, safutam, as your own self, swarup ruptaya. Swaruptaya. One's own true nature. So we have forgotten our real nature and we have adopted something which we are not, and then something which we have adopted keeps on changing, and that is the cause of misery. Because we don't like the change. We like the consistency, the constancies. But we think this is what we are. We are the body. Body keeps on changing. One day it's healthy, next day it's not. We think we are the mind or we are the intellect. That even flickers even more. Minute by minute, second by second. How can we have the peace? How can we have the bliss? So that's why he says, realize this state clearly as your own self. That's who you are. We have forgotten. Then he says in the next one, Atra atmatvam dridi kurvan aham adishu samtyajan udasinatya teshu tishthet safut ghat adivat. Atra means here, that means in this, atamtvam, identification. Dridi kurvan, strengthening. Aham adishu, aham is the ego, so with the ego, etc. Samtyajan, renouncing. Udasinatya, as one unconcerned. Udasin. Teshu means for them. Tishthet, one must live. Safut ghat adi vat, as they were trifles like a broken pot, etc. So he's talking about the ego, etc. By strengthening one's identification with the self and by renouncing all identification with the ego, etc., one must live with no concern for them, as if they were trifles like a broken pot, etc. So the things which we have given so much importance to, he says at least during the meditation, because all this is, he's telling us during meditation. Detach from them. That's why this Yoga Gyan Mudra. We are not the body, we are not the mind, we are not the intellect. During meditation, at least, firmly believe in it. Constantly establish your firm identification with the experience of the higher. As you will move into the higher planes of consciousness, constantly try to leave behind the concept of the individualized ego, etc. Egoism, chit, intellect, mind, body, those are all different attitudes. We have been identifying with all of this. He says, leave that egocentric attitudes behind. Move towards the higher plane of consciousness. and see how good it feels. At least for a few minutes a day. Leave it aside. The same thing happens when we go to sleep. We do it every night. Because when we are sleeping, the waking personality slowly gets eliminated. If we cannot detach from that waking personality, we won't be able to go into the deep sleep and get the rest. And that is just a rest for the mind. Over here, in the meditation, we are just letting that go, and we are establishing a very positive connection, Atma with the Paramatma, the Brahma. Consciously we are doing it. He's telling us like a pot, a broken pot. If we are pouring some oil or water in a broken pot, nothing will remain in it after some time. If the pot is not broken, contents can remain in it for a long time. But if the pot is broken, nothing remains in it. So he says, remain like a broken pot. Live in this world like a broken pot. If you cannot eliminate the mind, at least make a few holes in it. Do not hold on to everything. This is called things going out of the mind. Some people call it a leaking mind. That's how you ever remain empty. That's why the great saints, they say, empty thyself and I shall free you. But we are so full of ourselves. How can a guru free us or a saint free us? All the prophets, they have promised that. So we got to learn to live like a broken pot. Vishuddham antahakarnam savarupehe niveshehe sakshini avbodh matre shane shane nischaltam upaneyan purnam swam ev anuvilokyet tataha. Vishuddham, the purified. Antahakarnam, inner organ. Savarupe, in one's true nature. Niveshe, fixing, restraining. We can fix only when we restrain it. Sakshini, which is the witness. Avabodh matre, the knowledge absolute. Shane shane, gradually. Nischaltam, quietude. See, nischal. Chal means movement. Nischal means there's no movement. Upanayan, bringing it to. Purnam, state of fullness. Swam, one's own self. Ev means alone. Anu vilokayet, one must realize. Tataha, thereafter. By fixing the purified inner equipment, the antakarana, upon the self, which is the witness and knowledge absolute, little by little making it quiet, one must try to realize one's infinite self. Okay, again, he's telling us, do it slowly, it's okay, but definitely stay after it. Shane shane, you will know, do not get too anxious about it. We got to let go of the tamsikta from our mind, then rajsikta from our mind. We have to remove them. Because a pure mind is free from its preoccupations with the objects, emotions, thoughts. That's a pure mind. These extrovert preoccupations can end only when these forces of the vasana have slowed down. Okay, that's why simplicity is needed. Bring this kind of a mind to contemplate upon the pure Atma. Only a pure mind can contemplate the pure Atma. Dirty mind, agitated mind cannot. Pure mind. And this Atma is the witness of all the movements of the body, mind, and intellect. So this is the instruction he is giving it to us. When the witness, the consciousness, you can really feel. Welcome this consciously. See, just like a sun is the witness of the world of objects, sun is just the light alone. The self is consciousness alone. Bodh matra, he says. It's not object. So in that consciousness, fix your mind, which has been fully weaned away from all agitations. Slowly, slowly, shane, shane, bring all the disturbances into the quietness. And as the mind becomes quiet, you will come to experience fully the eternal self. Not just during your meditation. You will feel it continuously and intimately. Then this won't go away. That's how this passive meditation becomes active meditation. But first we have to make sure we do meditate passively. Sit down, take some time out every day. Then after that, no matter what you are doing, where you are continuously meditating. Your body is functioning, but you are meditating. Let's do one more. Deha indriye pran mana aham adi bhi swa agyan kaliprate akhilah upadhi bhi vimuktam atmanam akhand rupam purnam mahakasham iv avlokyet. Deha is the body, indriye sense organs, pran the vital force, man is the mind, aham is the ego, adi bhi, etc. So the body, sense organs, prans, mind, ego, etc. Swa agyan kalprate, which are the projections of one's ignorance. See, swa means own, agyan is the ignorance. Akhile, all. Upadhi bhi, conditionings. Vimuktam, free. Atmanam, the Atma. Akhand Rupam, the indivisible. See, khand is when you break something. Akhand is when it's complete. So indivisible. Purnam, the infinite. Mahakasham iv, like the great endless space. Avlokyet, let one come to see. Free from all limitations. Like the body, sense organs, prans, mind, and ego, which are the projections of one's ignorance. Let one come to realize the Atma. So we got to learn how to detach from the unreal, only then we come to know what is real. And clearly again and again he says that is a projection of the ignorance. The indivisible and infinite, like the great endless sky. Sky is the subtlest, space is the subtlest of these elements. 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and space. So space is the subtlest. So even though space is, it's not, he's saying, it's just saying only like. So we can understand space. We don't know where space starts and where it ends. We say endless space. So he's giving us just the analogy. So free from all limitations. Space doesn't have any limitation. So Atma doesn't have any limitation. But we know our body has the limitation. Our sense organs have the limitation. No matter how good our eyes are, we can see only so much, so far. Limitations in our hearing, touch, taste. So free from all limitations like the body, sense organs, prans, mind and ego, which are the projections of one's ignorance. Let one come to realize the Atma. So when we can let go of the temporary, only then we can identify with the real, or contemplate on the real, or even experience the real. And he says it's indivisible. The Atma. Because this, even my Atma and your Atma, that is ignorance. Brahm is only one. Because of our ignorance, we even use the word my deity and your deity. My temple, your temple. My religion, your religion. There's no division in the Brahma. That's why it's called indivisible and infinite. This is what we need to experience. Right now, we are full of avidya, full of ignorance. We have limited ourselves. This upadhi means limitations. We have put the limitations on ourselves. Otherwise, there's no limitation. The more upadhis we keep on removing, the clearer we'll see and we'll feel the oneness. So transcend all these upadhis. That's during meditation, we should at least do it. So he's comparing it with the space. That's the closest, he says, comes to our mind. That hey, space is invisible. It's not the ultimate reality, but in this manifested world, this is the closest, the subtlest of all the elements. Because we see water flowing somewhere, not flowing at other places. So other elements are grosser. This is the subtlest. So remember, Atma is not space, but it is like space. So it is comparable with the subtlest element space for the purpose of only intellectual understanding. Okay. So he wants us to meditate upon the experience, the all-pervading eternal Brahma. That's what he wants us to do. And he will elaborate upon this analogy, like the infinite space, in the next verse also. We'll see how he explains that to us. Okay, next week. Om Purnamada Purnam Idam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnam Eva Visheshyate. Om Shanti 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 Om. Thank you very much for coming.